Okay, the grand finale. We're finally here, part 5 of 5 on my series of writing for orchestral music. And since this is the last part, I wanted to make it really action-packed. So today we're going to start by playing in some chords, just in a single piano patch, then arranging that for a whole string section, adding a kind of spooky Harry Potter sounding celesta melody on the top of all that. And then I'm going to finally layer in some brass textures to just round out the transition and really just make it pop into the next section. So there are links below in the description if you want to watch the other parts and get caught up. If you're just finding this video and you're starting here, you might want to go do that first. And also, at this point, the whole series is on YouTube for free. That being said, if you want to support what I'm doing and watch the whole thing interrupted as one long video, there's also a link below to my Patreon in the description where you can get that, support the channel, and just make sure I can do more of these and keep increasing the quality of things. So anyway, without further ado, here's the final part. Okay, now that we have an introduction and a transition into something, and this has all been happening in kind of this modal C minor thing, I think it would be cool to have the next section have some chord changes. So I have a piano loaded up here. Cool. And I'm going to just play in this piano patch and then take those chords and dump them into my string section. Alright, so next I just took this piano part and I duplicated it into 5 new instances of BBC Orchestra, all set to their respective string section, and everything except the bass. The bass has the legato section, but everything else is on the long articulation. So now I'm going to go in and just delete notes from each part and adjust for octaves. Ideally, we're going to have 1 or 2 notes per instrument group. So let me go ahead and just do all that. Okay, so here we are. This is what we've arrived at. So basically, I have some more edits to do right here just to clean up some of these string things where like things weren't quite together. But the idea is this is all the same notes as this piano part I played in before, except the only difference is I had to take some of the middle notes and adjust them down to get them into the cello and bass range. But pretty much everything else is the same. The only other changes where I deviated really were some of the moments in here where we had, let me see if I could find one. But there was some repeated notes that were getting a little redundant. But it was like in here, these kinds of things, there was some repeated notes. So I just extended this to hold out for the whole duration, and that pitch was lasting. And then the only other thing is in here. I had one part where there was a single bass note and a single melody note. I added some stuff in the viola to make it clash and create some tension. So this is what I played. This is also, there's a little half-step tension I added here. This is what I played. And then another little crunch. That's just taking the upper note that I played. So in this case, the note that I was playing was, let's see. So I was playing an E, but down here, I added in an F. Right? I might have been playing an F and added an E. You know what I mean. I believe this is what I played. Then from here to the end, that's everything I played. So just a couple little half-step crunches in there for interest and tension. Okay, next I need to just draw in some automations. So I'm going to bring these in slowly. All right, so let me just let you hear one. So instead of hearing this, we're going to really bring it in from the bottom. And make sure that there's some motion happening the whole time. So I know I want all of these to come in from the bottom, what you can hear, and then I'm just going to shape them as I go. You hear the whole thing. Go back actually. Oh yeah, so this I really want to fade into nothing and then bring back. That's a very dramatic moment, switching from the denser harmonic material to the two-note intervallic thing. So let's hear the sounds. I just want to make sure that there's some kind of motion happening. So I usually just draw a rough idea of something and then adjust it by ear as I go. That's just looking at it is probably too much. But I just want to make sure that the whole thing, like I've talked about in other videos, is in motion the whole time. Let's see here. All right. I want to fade out a little bit more gracefully. So let's bring this and make it kind of just die away. See how that ending sounds. All right. The lower strings to get out of the way a little faster. So let's try this. Cool. And then actually, to help make that sound like it's getting further away, I'm going to automate into my reverb. With everything, with the whole section. So here, let's try this. And bring it up so by the end, it's around minus 10, minus 15, something like that. Automate into the reverb. Say hello to the reverb. Make the reverb your friend. And then this one, let's go like very reverberant. Over minus 10 dB. Let's see how that sounds. Yeah, that's nice. Much bigger sense of space with the reverb in there. So now we need a melody. I am going to put a celesta part over the top of it. Okay, let's go. For the final piece, we just needed some transition sounds. I like to use muted brass a lot for that. Let me just play you what that sounds like. So I layered a couple techniques like I've talked about before. That's French horn with mutes in a long articulation. So we're gonna land there. And then there's an automation happening to shape that. So it gets out of the way, and that's getting pushed into a reverb. Now to set that up, I'm using a marcato horn part. And then I'm also layering that with a different articulation. Marcato is like, there's some length to it, but also a separation, like boom, 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 right? As opposed to like ba, 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 or a staccatissimo like da, da, da. It's somewhere in the middle, so there is length to it. And I'm layering that with a sforzando articulation. A sforzando is when you kind of punch it on the front of a note really hard and then immediately get off of it, but you hold the note out. So this is what that sounds like. And then there's another automation, of course, underneath it. So the first couple are quieter and then it gets louder. When you put the three of them together, you get this. And I put this a little ahead of the beat on purpose because it takes a second to bloom. I just want that to be in full bloom by the time the change happens. And I'm just trying to smear the transition and de-escalate some of the momentum that we're building up to get into it. So here's the whole thing all together, that whole transition. So basically we build up a lot of steam here and then we completely let the wind out of it while this long meandering celesta melody happens over some chord changes in the strings. Okay, so we made it. That was the final part. I really hope that this was able to help you gain some insights and improve the quality of your own work when it comes to writing this kind of stuff. So I'd love it if you left me a comment, let me know how I did. That's really what drives the whole thing along, is just putting together content that helps you get where you want to be. And if you want more stuff like this, of course, you can subscribe. There's a link below to the Patreon where you can get the whole video uninterrupted, as well as all my other Patreon-only videos that get into more of this production stuff. So Until next time, I will see you later.